That's all I've got from the news here today. Let's move right into our last segment, and we have a lot of fun with this one. Queen Emily, I'll set it up a little bit, then I'm going to turn it over to you. The Queen's Court, each and every week on Tuesdays, the coaches who are on the halftime report find one stock idea, either as a trade or an investment. It can be either of those two things, and they submit it to the Queen's Court. And Coach Emily, the Queen of Tackle Trading here, the Queen of the Dynasty Investors as well, she gets to kind of judge those and see if they are to her liking or not. If they're not, we get our heads chopped off and lopped down the hallway. And if they are, we get to survive another week. Emily, you're up. Where do you want to start here today?
Well, today I'm going to do things a little bit different. I am not going to, I'll wait until the end to let you know who's going to get their head chopped off or who's going to survive. So as you guys present, I will just listen, and then I will let you guys know at the end of it who's surviving or who's not. I might just do it, triple head chop off today. I don't know how I feel today. We'll see. I might just line you guys all up and just chop you off.
I do
remember. It's a boring week in the market. I have nothing else to do.
I don't like any of our chances.
What's going on here?
I'm switching my pick.
Doji, here's your Doji.
I'm going. I kind of feel I'm going to get butchered anyways, and so I'm taking a shot in the dark.
And I'll tell you the reason why I'm going that route today. I'll see what you guys present first, and I'll tell you why I went that route today. But let's start with the guy who got his head chopped off last week. So Matt, you're up first.
Matthew Todd.
Oh, this is unfair. Okay, I was going to do Apple, and I was going to go safe. Apple's looking fantastic. Nice little double bottom on the 200, double top, reclaiming all those moving averages. We talked last week about the K-trade scenario. We talked last week in Jedi options last week. We talked about how you could take advantage of the volatility increase in these moments in time. And if you do see the breakout, man, that straddle, that strangle's perfect. It's beautiful. You got the breakout, which means, guess what? Now you're looking at this from a directional perspective. I really like what's happening on Apple right now. And if we do start to see growth come back into the market and that becomes the flavor of the month, Apple's going to be a beneficiary there as well. And so Apple was going to be my pick, but the Queen, in her tone, it feels like somebody's dying. And so I felt like, okay, Apple's too safe here for a boring week in the market.
I got to tell you,
let's try something sexy.
I'm okay if you fall on your sword.
I am.
You can sacrifice yourself for the greater good.
I am. And now I'm going to, because you challenged me and I have to fall. So who can find me the biggest sword to fall on? That's what I'm going to do. The biggest sword I could find is Airbnb. Now, Airbnb has been fairly negative in recent price action. You're seeing a stock that double top, double bottom. You see the double top here at 217 by 220. You see the double bottom right there at 170. You got the IPO pricing here right in the 130, 140 area. Obviously, the negative print post IPO put that support level as well, about 120. Now, you see this big momentum to the downside, right? Mm-hmm. Big momentum to the downside following the violation of support. Typically after a reversal, you will see this type of increasing momentum. Where does that momentum stop, though? That momentum stops here on Airbnb, a very popular brand company, by the way. This momentum stops right into these same zones of support following the IPO. That is telling to me from a technical perspective, when a stock comes into an IPO price, or even if the negative reaction is over time like it was on Facebook 10 years ago, typically that pain and that hate gets a little bit too strong in the short term. Where it finds support, very important. It finds support in that same type of zone. Now, the reason I switched is not simply because it found support around the zone of the IPO price, although I do think that is important that the momentum shifted in that capacity. The reason I like it here, and I like it from a trading perspective, but the reason I like it here is technically you have a couple moments here that are fairly telling to me. And when I say that telling, it's like, Mark, when you're sitting at a poker table back in the day, right? And you're sitting there for 8 straight hours and you're playing against the same people for that time period. What do you start picking up, Mark?
You start picking up tells.
Okay, and these tells are indications of what you should do as well, right?
Correct.
And so what I'm seeing here, a couple tells, number one is this candle here, right? You see the decreasing volatility here, the slowing momentum following a positive response to an earnings report. Then about a week later, you see a big increase in price action with a fairly significant increase in volume as well. It then fought up against the moving averages and didn't really put up a fight, establishing a higher level of resistance above 150, reclaiming all the moving averages. Now you get this wicked random consolidation where it's fairly volatile. But again, tells are important to me, Mark, in these types of reversals. Snap back here, one test of the 20, increasing volume, ran above it. Now the market is asleep. Airbnb is not asleep. What we've also been seeing to add to the evidence is what has the underbelly, Chucky. You love the underbelly. You've lived in the underbelly. What's the underbelly been doing in recent history?
It has, for the underbelly, it's stabilized.
It's stabilized, which is important though, because what had it been doing?
Getting crushed.
It'd been getting crushed.
Had a rough month.
And you're starting to see that come back a little bit as well. And so you're in that zone where we're talking about a little bit of rotation from the cyclical safe areas of the market back into a little bit of the aggressive. We're seeing the Russell 2000 reclaim the 2300 zone and now play defense at 2300. We're seeing the growth areas of the market, the NASDAQ and communications, seeing upgrades at tackle trading in those areas of the market where we're downgrading some of the consumer driven areas of the market and some of the cyclical areas of the market. And then technically you have a fairly, I don't love V-shaped type technical reversals, but you do have a V-shaped type technical reversal here where you did not even establish a double bottom. It actually increased its support level from 130 to 140 in that. And then first test against resistance, it violates and breaks out. I like ABNB from a trade. I got it in price appreciation mode, and the technical target would most likely, you got to navigate the 50. No doubt about that. T1, navigate the 50. Outside of that, you're looking at 168 by 170. Queen, ABNB, that is my pick today.
Great analysis. I love it. I will save my response for the end.
I am going to go cower in the corner while you two present.
All right, let's have Tim go next.
I'm not letting Matt fall on his sword and play this righteousness to himself and not also fall on my sword right along with him. So I am going along the same line of thinking. And this was not actually something just last second. I actually had this one planned. Pinterest, give me pins. And actually, let's start with the communications sector in general, XLC. And, we talk about these different areas of the market, where the strength is right now, top-down analysis style. Communications is one of them. Obviously, energy is very, very strong. I think the pick from Mark's going to be coming from energy. He did hint at that a little bit earlier. But communications also very, very strong. The participation here was Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google all the way at the top of their charts, breaking out, showing a lot of strength. They've been on people's radars. They've been on the option report. I'm not going to bring those guys up. Anybody who's been around me long enough knows I love Pinterest. I love the company. I've had the conversation with Matt many, many, many times. It's a component, obviously, in communication services, and they're just a profit-making type of company, Emily. The demographic of people who go to Pinterest, they use that advertising more. They actually do purchase more. They've been releasing data for years about the way that they can monetize their users. I'm a big fan of the platform. I'm a big fan of the company. I'm a big fan of the way that they are generating revenue, and I believe in their future. So I believe in them fundamentally. I really, really do. Valuations, of course, stretched. PE ratio, even negative. This is never going to be a Mark company, not ever going to happen. But for me, I'm a growth guy. I'm a believer in ideals. I'm a believer in forward thinking. And I think Pinterest is going to find that narrative at some point, become a very profitable company. And here's why. Sales metrics have gone up year over year over year over year over year since this company has released data from 2016 all the way through 2021. In fact, sales growth from 19 to 20 was almost 60% year over year. They actually had a really good start to 2021 as well. Now the chart. Deep correction all the way below the 200 period moving average. It was getting ugly. And you want to talk defense, it rebounded right back off of that, rallied right back up through the 200, put in a higher pivot low. And that significance right there picked my attention, no question about it. It played battle, it played defense, found the 200, and then went right back up through resistance and is now taking another leg up. I like it above 70 here for something. I don't have this as a short-term trade concept though, Emily. I love it for cover calls. 2.5% cover call on a volatility company that has taken it right on the chin. It took the punch from the marketplace. It battled back. It played defense, improving technical analysis. 32 delta, and I can still pick up 2.5% on the 30-day option. It's a great covered call stock. Liquidity's there. Enough volatility's there, but it's not some crazy gapper on a day-by-day basis in that regard. Pinterest from Communication Services is my pick.
Can I just add one thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's your pick. I don't want to get you killed.
We're falling on our
Do
sword.
you trust me?
I do, yes.
Okay. I really like in the cover call scenario here. I do like it because you're a little bit overextended in this reversal potential, and 75, which is where that 32 delta is the 75 contract. That's a perfect level to sell at right now. Like, you can't get better because it makes it easy. If it goes above 75, you just buy back the option because there's nothing until 89.90, right?
Mm-hmm.
75 holds like it did many times. You just let it expire worthless. And so I was adding to your thunder there, buddy.
We'll see.
This is so fun watching you guys sweat it out.
I
should do this every week.
Absolutely.
Now, if you were going to say directional, I thought you would get killed.
No, not a short-term directional play. Nope.
All right, Mark, you're up next.
All right, not going to go as long as I normally do because the basis of my thing is energy. I've shared my thoughts with you, Emily, numerous times on why I like oil in 2021, shared them with the community even more. So that's the underlying basis of all that. Give me BP. Now, in this broad space of energy, I got a lot of choices. And break out and give me a 2-year weekly chart if you would. The line drawn is just perfect. I got a lot of choices, right? Now, I've done very well in the last year playing the epicenter stocks. Stocks that got hit the hardest, that even their survivability was in question, right? Airlines, hotels, cruise ships, oil, energy companies, and so forth. Now, in all of this run, I've done 2 simple things on this run that's been very good to me. One, I've measured how far do you got to go to the March lows. Like, I played MGM a lot, right? Once MGM got going and past a point of like no brainer for me, and started exceeding the lows where they had at the highs. So where we started at the pandemic, surpass it. I don't have a lot of interest. I want to find bargains. I want to find stuff I can cash flow for a long period of time. And I got called out on a lot of this stuff, but I wasn't very unhappy about that. Well, BP still got some room to run. In fact, BP still has about 25% of its current value to run before you reach where you were pre-pandemic. A lot of other energy companies can't say that. And it's not a question of fundamentals. It's not a question of this and that. BP is a good company that's been doing a lot of the cost cutting, showed profitability. They had to cut their dividend like a lot of energy companies do. Mm-hmm. But BP has a rich history of dividend payments. Covered calls and so forth aren't too bad either. So it fits the general criteria. All right, so we got a space I like. Energy, I like the thesis still. Obviously, the oil chart is beautiful. It is just screaming that energy companies are going to follow. and I still got some room to run on BP. So check one box on a macro level, check two box on, I still think it has some room to run. And then I look for specific triggers. Now you don't see it on this chart right here because very few people use it, but on the weekly chart, the 100 weekly moving average, one I use in these type of weekly, monthly analysis, it came up 2 weeks ago, hesitated like a first test of a moving average normally does, came up last week, hesitated again, like once again, statistically, when you look back at these tests of these major moving averages, especially when they haven't been tested in forever, you're going to see those bounces. You're going to see those bounces. So it hesitated. You got a horizontal breakout. You got a double band of breakout today. So we got the macro picture, oil. We got the price appreciation storyline. Clear air is what I like to call it too, up to those pre-pandemic price levels. And then we get the third trifecta. We get a nice technical signal. Checks the boxes. And I think the timing of BP, the price move of BP is really, really nice. I think you're getting a strong trading signal. But I also think you're getting a nice position entry signal, perhaps even an investment entry signal. It's a pretty signal. It's a pretty chart. It's a pretty macro environment. I present BP.
All right, so let me summarize very quickly. So we got the position analysis on BP. You got the covered call analysis on Pinterest with the selling of the 75 option. And you have the swing / position on Airbnb is what you have. Okay. Emily, who survives till next week and who has the shame of being annihilated, not just publicly, but quite frankly, over the next 6 hours?
You guys have completely ruined my day because
That's right.
You know, the Queen has informants. And yesterday on the halftime report, Coach Gino was on and he brought up, you know, Apple and Activision and TSM, and all you guys were jumping on all of those things. That's going to be my Queen's Court. So I was really waiting for you guys to bring any of those three up. And Matt, you were close because you would have brought that up. And I was going to line you guys up and just chop you off just for the mere fact of being lazy and not doing any analysis and finding your own stuff.
We knew what would happen.
So good job on not bringing up Coach Gino's picks from yesterday in Apple, Activision, and TSM, although they all, you know, they have been really good picks. Anyway, Airbnb, let's go back to the charts and look at them individually. I love your analysis on Airbnb. The fact that it's in the underbelly and that's starting to pick up. If you look at the Russell, you can see that, you know, starting to pick up. I like where it's sitting, kind of, you know, broken, created that cup and handle and broke above that. It's, you know, created that new resistance level today with that green candle. You do have to get past that 50-day moving average that is there, but I like it because I don't have any underbellies in my portfolio right now, and I might start looking into adding some. So Airbnb might be one of those. Because I plan on going on vacation too and getting an Airbnb rental. So why
I'm going on vacation right now.
He heard what he needed.
For that
I heard I don't have an underbelly and I'm interested. I knew I was like, okay, gesture's good.
I am interested. So yeah, for that reason, I like Airbnb, and Mr. Matthew Justice, you will survive this week's.
Thank you, Queen. You are the best.
Apple, you would have literally gotten.
I knew what would happen.
He played it smart. Yep.
He played it smart. Pinterest.
He used strategery.
Oh, goodness gracious. You know, again, great analysis. I love that cup and handle. Obviously, you know, it's one of the things that I just instantly saw, right? Like, you know, when you're so used to looking at charts and there are those, you know, patterns and trends that you just, you know, you just see them and you're just like, oh, I see it. And I could just see that cup and handle forming. I love where it's at. It just cleared the 50. It's above all the moving averages right now. We're seeing, you know, that increasing momentum. Volume's not exactly where I want it to be, but it's starting to inch up there. You know, I really don't play Pinterest much, but once we looked at that cover call strategy, 2% ROI right now is really not bad. And we had this question yesterday in the podcast about what do you do when there isn't any, you know, when there isn't any volatility in the market. Well, here's one you can play. You're still going to get a good ROI. right, on Pinterest, and you've got enough room to be able to pick up some cash flow and not have to worry about rolling that call up if it does get up to 75. So for that, I absolutely love. And yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this at all. I love how it kind of bounced back off of that, that downtrend after earnings. It's been fighting when the market's just been sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Pinterest has just been inching up and inching up. So I love it for a cover call play. I like it. So for that, you, sir, survive.
Thank you, my queen.
Now, I really was planning on getting some blood in the streets today, and and the energy sector. I love the energy sector so much, so I will leave it to Team Tackle. If you guys want to see blood, you tell me. I will. This is, and I'm only saying this.
Tackle wants blood. Tackle always wants blood. Are you talking?
Because this is the reason why Matt got killed last week, because he brought an energy play, which I already have enough of.
Great point. So, we've been bringing energy every week.
We've been bringing energy every week, and Matt had his head chopped off because of energy, and not that there was anything wrong with his picks.
I gotta tell you,
all wonderful picks. But BP I love, and the reason why I'm contemplating not chopping Mark's head off today is because of that 100-day moving average we added on the weekly. That's one that I never usually look at, but looking at where it's sitting at, I was like, okay, I see that.
I could
add BP. Maybe I could add BP, even though I have energy plays. Maybe I could add BP. So this is tough. You guys ruined it.
You don't have to kill anybody.
But I do. The people demand of it.
Okay, I agree. The people demand you got to kill one because you're not taking three. So out of the three, you got the BP energy reversal analysis.
I can't. I mean, I can keep all three of you, but I just seriously, I still want some blood. And I really love the BP one. I really do. But I have to chop some heads off. And Team Tackle wants blood. So Mark.
Well, when my pick makes money, if I'm going to die, I'm going to talk crap. Right?
Oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? I take it back.
700% in the last year.
I take all of that stuff back, because you did talk some trash yesterday on the podcast, talking about how you're going to beat all of us at trade. So you know what? No more sympathy.
That's a good shot, and that's a good pick.
Like we say in Among Us, you're dead, bro. You can't talk.
Can't hear you. You're muted.
Your head's lopped off. I will graciously just exit side left and be happy that I made it out for another week.
Really great picks. It's not you, Mark. I already have.
It's not you.
It's not you. It's
me.
George
Costanza.
It's me. It's me and Team Tackle. We just wanted to see some blood.
Oh well, Tackle got what it wants. Good analysis and a head chopped off. They got their blood. So fantastic.